NewsX World. We start this hour in the Middle East, where Hamas says its delegation has wrapped up a visit to Egypt, aimed at ending the war in Gaza and Israeli actions in the West Bank. In a statement, the group said the trip was meant to build consensus with Palestinian factions and draft what it called a national roadmap. Hamas claimed the visit came amid what it described as Zionist plans to reoccupy Gaza City and continue what it called genocide against Palestinians. The group said factions agreed to keep working to the end of the war, support civilians in Gaza, and confront challenges in Jerusalem and the West Bank. Okay, we're now joined by Professor Ephraim Imbar. He is a senior researcher at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security to discuss this in further detail. Professor Imbar, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. Do you have any hopes that there could be some movement from this Hamas delegation that has visited Egypt? We'll talk about the language it is used in a second, but what are your thoughts on the state, the stance of Hamas right now, and is it anything that Israel can negotiate with?
So far, Hamas is adamant to keep its weapons. It said so that it will keep its weapons until a Palestinian state will be established. And as long as Hamas is in Gaza and it holds to its weapons, I don't think that there is a possibility of reaching an agreement. Hamas must obey the international community will to leave Gaza and to allow the Gazans to be free and prosper, rather to be subjugated by a tyrannical, fanatical, religious, Islamic group. And as long as Hamas has a hope that the international community will pity the Palestinians, that Hamas is ready to sacrifice in great numbers, they will not budge. They will not move from their position. We shouldn't forget that they are fanatics and they are very stubborn. That's the nature of the beast we are facing.
Professor Imbar, you've mentioned there the states that are prepared to recognize a Palestinian state at the UNGA at the end of this month, the likes of the United Kingdom, the likes of France, the likes of Australia, and other traditional allies of Israel are saying that they're going to recognize a Palestinian state if there is no ceasefire by that event. However, also what they have mentioned is that Hamas can play no role in the government of Gaza or anywhere else in the Palestinian state for that matter. What are your thoughts, and when, if that does happen, what are going to be the immediate consequences, in your opinion, and the long-term ones?
I think that those countries that are willing to recognize a Palestinian state, which doesn't exist, is a misguided step. Basically, it rewards the terrorists, it rewards the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian people that support Hamas. And it doesn't affect the situation on ground. Basically, the Palestinian political body is afflicted with a terrible disease, political disease. They have no ability to create monopoly over use of force, which is a basic requirement of a state. And we see it, of course, in the Palestinian Authority, where there are the Palestinian police as well as their militias. And this is true, of course, also of Gaza, where we see Hamas and another Islamic organization like Islamic Jihad, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and there are clans with weapons. And as long as the Palestinians will not be able to put their act together and create conditions for orderly rule in their territory, they will not have a state, simply. It has nothing to do with Israel. What's happening in Syria, what's happening in Iraq, what's happening in Yemen, in Libya, all those entities have no monopoly over use of force.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with Israel.
Professor Ivenbrough, I'm just conscious of time. Hamas has used strong language expectedly when coming to these talks. It has claimed the visit. He described the Zionist plans to reoccupy Gaza, a claim which Benjamin Netanyahu denies that it is Israel's end goal to do so. However, Benjamin Netanyahu has contradicting statements when it comes to his English press conferences, which he gave the world just a couple of weeks back, when he said that it is Israel's aim to set up a government in the enclave, that it is separate from Hamas and the PLO, etc. However, his statements have said that he feels connected to Greater Israel, which includes, of course, the Gaza Strip. And also, of course, we can't forget the Israeli plans to extend settlements inside the West Bank. When Israel says these things yet acts differently, what are your thoughts in the true nature?
I think that Israel obviously makes all the signals and all the noises that it intends to conquer Gaza in order to defeat Hamas and to free the hostages. This is what's happening nowadays. And Israel indeed intensified air attacks on Gaza, destroying high-rise buildings that can be used by the terrorists as observation points to identify where the Israelis are coming. And this is, unless there is something unexpected and we see a change in Hamas position, this will probably happen. The West Bank is a different story. The West Bank is where the Palestinian Authority is ruling, and as I mentioned before, they are very bad at ruling. They also pay from their national budget for terrorists and their families, and they are not seen as a serious partner of becoming good neighbors at the future stage. So unfortunately, our neighbors are not very nice, and we can't do much about it, but just to limit their capabilities to harm us.
Your input on the program. We now move on and out